Welcome back to part 3 of this marathon episode of Draftline Discussions. We are pivoting to talk about Abilene, Texas. We've got a lot going on in Abilene, much more than you might think, but we've been working on this deal since, I'm going to say September, maybe even last spring, when we looked to expand our land out there. But before we get into all of that, why don't we talk about how things are going with what we have there already? Andrew, how are you doing?
Great, Mark. How are you doing?
I thought you were going to say you're peachy, but I'm good. I'm peachy.
I said peachy last time.
You see peachy.
I think I said great the time before that, so I got to come up with some more adjectives here.
Miserable.
Miserable.
Tell us how things are going, how things are flowing, how things are rolling in Abilene, Texas.
Everything's rolling just fine. In fact, more than fine. I think things are going really well in Abilene. We did a rate increase in was it beginning of April? So just a small one, not enough to rile anybody up. Just incremental, probably 5% across the board. And so I don't think there was really any pushback on that. We also cut out U-Haul from Abilene. We were doing U-Haul operations there for the better part of a year, and it was taking up a lot of our employees' time on site, washing the trucks, preparing them, checking them in, checking them out, dealing with getting people in and out of the gate that didn't have a gate code, which was kind of a major pain point since we don't have an office outside the gate like you often would at a larger self-storage facility.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it just wasn't making the money that we'd hoped, but it was worth a try. I'm glad we tried it. And it was probably we were really losing money. I don't know. It depends on the time of year, but I haven't run the numbers. But in the end, we had to our employee on site a lot more than we would otherwise.
So I can tell you, we were losing money because he was there. Like on the U-Haul endeavor, we were losing a slight month to month just because he was there probably twice as much as he otherwise would have needed to be. Right?
Yeah, twice as much, right? Yep. So he got another job to supplement, and so he's fine. He's making money from his other job, and this job that we have for him is flexible. So he's around doing what he did before, just not having to deal with all the U-Haul stuff. And so we're glad to have that behind us. And in the place where we were storing the U-Haul equipment, we've added 7 more parking spaces because our parking lot completely filled up. One facility in town outside of our trade area eliminated their parking in order to build some more square footage. And so that created a windfall for us, filled up our parking completely. We're charging fairly premium rates for our outdoor parking now. We added 7 more spots, so we have a little bit more to fill up, which is great. What else? Our occupancy in general is high.
Wait, I want to push in on that for a second. So I didn't realize that another facility's parking was eliminated. How far away was it? Which one is it? Do you know?
It's more than 3 miles away, I believe. It's kind of in the middle of town.
Highway 277 by any chance?
No.
Okay,
No.
so here's the interesting dynamic. So labor cost out there was costing us about, I'm going to say $2,800 a month. And that labor cost is now down below 1,000. So it's almost cut into a third of what it was. So we're saving about $1,400 a month. Now we're also taking that U-Haul space and we've introduced 7 new parking spaces at $100 each. Now, if we can rent those, we will be arguably making $700 a month, which is more than we were making in U-Haul. Our original U-Haul target was $1,000 a month, and we only made over $1,000 a couple of times. Our average was probably near $400 a month with U-Haul. So I think that we're going to end up not only to make that extra $400 a month, we were spending an extra $1,400 a month, which is why I'm saying on average over this last year, we said we would give it a year. We actually gave it a year and 6 months because we started in October 2024, sorry, to get the U-Haul going. And so with that dynamic, that's a flip in our favor of over $2,000. right, per month.
Mhm.
So that that is going to really be impactful to our bottom line. We're also changed a couple of other important things that we probably haven't discussed for a few months. Is that because we bought the RV section instead of leasing it, that lease expense goes away. That's another $1,500 a month going to our bottom line. We also have Lisa taking the calls for Texas instead of you taking the calls, which is saving us somewhere between $800 and $1,000 a month. So that's like a $3,000 to $4,000 a month to our bottom line, and a little bit more of that parking revenue hitting the bottom line. So I'm going to say, rounding out, it's about $5,000 a month in these subtle adjustments that we've made to operations. Would you agree with me on that?
Sure, sounds about right. And then I'll also go back to that facility that's adding on. It's Maple Street Storage,
Okay,
as I recall, and they have some expansion space there. It's not a very big facility, and it's 5 miles away.
good. And was it climate or non-climate?
It looks like they have climate.
Okay, 5 miles though, that's pretty far. Like
Yeah,
that's
they're
not.
outside of our trade area. It's comfortable distance.
Yep, that's comfortable distance. We're glad with that. Okay, let me just review here. So labor cost is down. Lisa's taking calls. Daniel's part-time. We've ditched U-Haul. Occupancy is actually up. I saw occupancy hit 93, maybe even 94%. I don't think we've hit more than 92 historically. What do you think is driving the increased occupancy and increased revenue?
Abilene's booming. There's a data center going in, a very large data center. I don't know how many $1 billion, but
500.
$500 billion. Okay, pocket change.
Yeah.
Dias Air Force Base is I don't know if it's happening yet, but they're expanding. They're adding the B-21 bomber program there.
Yeah.
So it's a good market to be in. We
They're
didn't
right on our
anticipate.
doorstep. I read an article actually that pitted Abilene as either the fourth or sixth hottest market for storage in a
Wow.
storage ranking. Yeah, in the U.S. Talk
In the
about luck.
US?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
For what, for development or
I
for
think like I don't know how they came up with those metrics, but two, I think Odessa or Midland was also on that list.
okay.
Well, West
Huh.
Texas is definitely attractive, right? Whereas they also ranked the 10 lowest, and I think Austin was on there, Dallas was on there, because of the oversupply out there, right? Because there's very
Yeah.
few new facilities. Now, I will step in to say that is a great thing as a headline, but as a practical matter to expand, it is actually quite a challenge. Why? Because there's no concrete to be found. There's no rebar to be found. There's no labor to be found in Abilene. We have to import all that from DFW. So that's a 3-hour import to bring in your labor to do all that stuff for materials. And so like concrete prices, we're normally quoting at $650 a square foot. We've seen quotes as high as $11 a foot for concrete. Dirt work. We originally estimated dirt work to be 40 grand for this site. We're getting quotes as high as, brace yourself, $211,000 to do dirt work. And the answer when we say, why is it so high, is because we can. We are so stretched for dirt work labor. Now, we found solutions to some of this, but our budget's being strained by this for the expansion. I'm just going to pull this up so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I've been working on getting the expansion underway in Abilene since October when we were negotiating the purchase of this land. So if you look on the screen, this is the land that we bought, this irregular shaped thing. I think you can see my cursor moving there. Okay, this is all this stuff in this clean rectangle, all these 7 buildings, this exists already. This here, I think we've talked ad nauseum about, is what we're building. There is going to be some slight changes to this layout. We're going to be bringing some of these buildings a little closer. They don't need to be so far apart. We're going to bring some of them back to back because they're only going to be accessible from one side of it. So we can bring them back to back and eliminate some of that middle spacing and kind of fit things in a little tighter. But this is the gist of what we've got going on. But this is 30,000 square feet of concrete that are outside of the buildings and drive aisles here. This is just 30,000 square feet of parking. That is $200,000 just to put concrete down on, right? It's $112,000 to put the concrete pads down and $82,000 to pour the concrete drive aisle, right? So that's almost $500,000 in concrete just for what's in this square. Now, to put that in context, putting the buildings up is $500,000 each with everything inside them. So one building here is the equivalent cost of the entire concrete. So if you were to break this $1.5 million expansion in phase one, which is in this square here, down, it would be 500 in concrete and 500 for each building. So it's a lot of cost in concrete, right? Now, what I would say is that the demand there is indicating that we will be able to fill these up probably ahead of time, our timeline. But I don't want to make that assumption. We're only going to build these two buildings first. We're not going to do phase two or try to push to phase two until these are built, because we don't want to risk oversupplying. But and the budget's getting strained. Hopefully, by the time we get to phase two, the situation's kind of normalized. The data center's built, construction costs come down. But right now, we have to think real hard about how we want to deal with the budget strains from the construction demand. It's probably worth noting, you can't really see it on here, but this piece of land here is not owned by someone we know, but the one right next to it here is. So both of these parcels are about 90 acres. The parcel here on the northwest, northeast is currently being bulldozed for medium density residential homes here. And we just saw a permit application come through that we had to support or not support on this land here, which is another 90 acres, which is being repurposed for the same thing. It is currently, as you can see in this little mini map, agricultural, and it is already being scraped to be a residential here and will be soon to be residential here. So as you can see, we will have a lot more residential neighborhoods facing right in front of our facility once we're finished and complete building. So we do expect that will have a very positive impact on what we're building back here. And we look forward to that. So in concert with that, so what we have done, and this is primarily for the people who've invested in this, is that we've applied for a loan, and we worked very hard to find a loan that we would be able to use to expand this land and not have to put any more money into it. We paid $315,000 for this piece of dirt. We borrowed a little bit of that money from an outside source, about $100,000. We paid for the rest of it in cash internally or capital raise. Now, we've gone to the bank and said, what we want to do is build this little section here. Will you lend us the money, and will you allow us to refinance the entire project to pay for that? And so they said, yeah, well, we'll do a valuation to figure out what we think this is worth, and we will give you a loan based on that new valuation. As long as that valuation is that loan is less than 60% loan to value, we can do it. So to circle back, to remind everybody, we bought this existing facility for $2.6 million in the summer of 2024. That facility is now worth over $5.6 million with the improvements that primarily Andrew has made for the operations and tightening things up and increasing operational efficiency, normalizing rents, decreasing utility expense, etc. We've gone through that review a couple of times before and shown how those numbers jive. Now, when we add this new section on, these two buildings will add approximately $1.5 million worth of value on top of that existing value, plus the existing parking that's there, will bring the total value of the site without phase 2 or 3 to approximately $8.9 million. And that will result in a $4.8 million loan, of which we will use $1.5 million to build, have to spend none of our own cash, and be able to take out some number of hundreds of thousands of dollars. We don't know exactly what that number is. We do have that $100,000 loan to pay back to the outside source, but I'm hopeful that we can at least pay out somewhere in the range of $300,000 to $400,000. We are going to hold a little bit of money back for contingencies for something that needs to be done down the road, like roof replacement, paint. I know we have to do some work on the concrete here. We are probably going to paint this facility at some point in the not too distant future, especially because these new buildings will be a similar paint pattern to Oklahoma, and so they will not match these ones. And we would like to match that up sooner rather than later. But at the end of the day, the big pieces are in place. The loan has been approved. We're working through the last punch out items to get the contracts to the bank to finalize. The bank is committed to lending us the money. They've done the valuation, and we're firming up our budget right now, particularly with concrete or asphalt, to try to determine how we deal with the incredible supply constraints with labor and materials for construction out in Abilene right now. But it looks like we're going to be able to successfully navigate that. We plan on starting construction actually a couple months from now in June. June 22nd is the date that we currently have soft circled to begin moving the dirt and get this project rolling. And refinancing will happen in early July so we can start paying for all this work to be done. So super exciting, lots going on, but everything is moving, honestly, a year faster than we expected to, because we didn't want to do this until year 2 or 3, and now we're already well into planning it, and we're not even at our second anniversary yet. It's pretty mind-boggling how quickly it's all gone.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to phase 2 and phase 3.
Yeah, well, we have to see how phase 1 leases up. But on that note, we do have a little bonus announcement. So why don't you tell us what else we have going on over in Texas?
Well, I've been in contact with an owner of a self-storage facility in Abilene for years because he had his facility on the market. Gosh, it's like, I don't know, 4 years ago when I first started looking at storage. I was like, oh, it looks like a really nice deal. I wonder if he'd seller finance it to me. And at the time, no, he didn't want to do seller financing. But anyway, turns out he and I had a lot of common interests. So when I was in Abilene transitioning our facility here that we were talking about, I went over and visited him. And so I've been over to visit him a couple times. And then lo and behold, he put his facility back on the market recently. So we are currently negotiating to see if we can purchase it. And it would make a really good complement to our facility there now. It's far enough away to be outside the trade area, so we'd serve a different part of town. It has a nice big office on site, so we would have one office in Abilene at least, potentially servicing both properties. And it's a clean facility. It meets our brand standards. The colors, I'm not sure, but
I was gonna say, yeah, it's very, very well kept and very clean, and there's minimal capex, and it meets our brand standards. But those colors,
yeah.
It's hard though, because I mean the paint looks so good, like the facility looks crisp and clean. It's just, it looks like my old elementary school before they painted it.
Yeah. So we might have to call John again. So we'll see.
We're gonna be employing John the painter quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'll get that brown and green and taupe and orange off the buildings, and let's go with some sanctum blue.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? That's so if we do this, if we get this under contract, which we should hope to see in the next couple of weeks, we'd be looking at sometime late summer to close.
That's right.
That would be deja vu all over again. Number 4. And
Abilene Part 2.
And won't get into too much details, but there's a nice spicy little piece of land there that can be expanded upon for 2 buildings of climate control storage.
Keep rolling.
Well, we're doing it down the road. We might as well do it at the new location too, right?
So, yeah, we should have the process perfected at that point. So
yes, yeah, we can almost do it in our sleep. I'm looking forward to that. I think this is gonna be real fun. 3rd project in 9 months and just banging it out. And here's the thing, Abilene is such a hot market, and I see that continuing with the amount of investment going in there. So I will be very happy, pleased, and proud to order or to own another 50 to 70,000 square foot facility in the city of Abilene. That would be fantastic. Even though Texas isn't my favorite state for storage, given the cost of insurance, cost of tax, but you know, when you're buying something at 54, I think it's $54 dollars a foot, which is what he has is listed at. I mean, it's the numbers make sense. So, you know, hopefully this goes through. I wasn't anticipating it would be quote unquote dropping into our lap like that, but I mean, that's a testament to relationships, your persistence, and you know, forming those bonds that put a deal in your pocket. And the funny thing is, when you look at the deal, he has it listed as a quote unquote 5 cap, right? So any normal person looking at that deal would be like, okay, yeah, there's nothing special here. But because we know this market so well, and because we know these numbers so well, because we operate 17 minutes away, we know what's possible. And he's better located than we are in terms of the centrality of his location, right? So he's not on a major thoroughfare, but he's very, very in town. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that deal getting under contract and rinsing and repeating exactly what we're doing in Oklahoma and in on Butterfield here. They're up at AAA if we get that under contract. So great stuff, Andrew. It's been a marathon talking to you today. Thank you very much helping me do my investor updates here. And yeah, great. It's great stuff. I'm looking forward to the future. This is going to go very, very well, I think, with investors to see all the activity that's happening. I'm probably going to put out a short form financial recap so people can see what's going on with the finances. But in the meantime, thanks again for spending the time to explain this and for all you're doing on the operational side. It's been great working with you, and it's been great chatting with you.
Likewise, Mark. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for all you do. And keep it up, man. It's very exciting stuff.
Yeah, we'll keep it up. All right, take care, Andrew.
All right.
Talk
Cheers.
soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.